Hello and welcome to Access Chat. Just the three of us today, but we're covering, I think, what is a really interesting and important topic. We've seen an awful lot about AI in recent weeks and months, whether it be AI powering accessibility, whether it's the opportunities for creating new assistive technologies, but also AI and how we interact with technology and humans, right? Can AI supplement human relationships and interactions? Should we be using AI counselors? We've seen in the news recently the potential harms of some of that stuff with reports of people taking their lives because they've been using AI counselors. We know that there's benefits and harms for sure, but let's dive a little deeper. I know, Debra, you were talking about this before we came on air, talking about loneliness, and obviously loneliness has a huge impact on people's health. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such a fun topic too, and a big topic. And I've really been digging into it because I'm working on some work about AI. But I had made a decision that maybe AI can't help us with loneliness. And I had seen studies and reports that have said that. And so I remember I was telling y'all off air, there was an artificial intelligence seal that they created. It was like a real seal, but it was not real.
I remember it, yes.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they were putting it in nursing homes and stuff. And they thought this is going to help the residents feel less lonely. But they found after doing it and studying it, that was not happening. But when the person was playing with the seal, which I will play with it right now, and then they go out into the common area, it would attract human beings to them to say, what is that? Oh, that's so cool. And that would help with the loneliness. So I had decided in my own head, AI cannot, it cannot solve human loneliness. But then you started just seeing all this different stuff. I still am not sure that I think that it's the wrong question I was saying. Can AI solve human loneliness? I don't think that's the question, the right question. But it is interesting because, like you said, there are people that are killing themselves because of AI. There are people already. There is a man that has got married to his AI. And, humans are aggravating. We like have all these different moods and we have all these different opinions. And so I can see why certain people would be more drawn to AI that tells us everything we want to hear. Anyway, it's just so interesting, the human dilemmas that we're going to deal with. And accessibility, I love that we're going to address it with accessibility. I love that we can address it with assistive technology. But I hope that what we do instead is do that as well, but is that we're going to focus on true human inclusion. And I think that's something we don't even know I believe we don't even know what it means to truly be human now. And so then expanding what it means to be human along with this AI stuff that's here, it's not going away. I think we're going to learn so much as human beings, but I hope we always, always, always consider humans in every aspect of the AI. And I don't see us doing that in all cases. I see, and even my country, Americans, I see them focusing only on, let's get it the fastest as we can. Let's make as much money, as opposed to, wait a minute. Is this something that is going to help society and help humans? So I think these are important times. Over to you, Antonio.
Well, I think that there's a lot of noise as usual on these topics. You have people who want to succeed. They want their companies to succeed. So they pay no effort in selling you all the steak oil you need, all the snake oil you need to make sure that you buy into their narratives. And I'm sure they know well at the end that some of the things that they say are not real. That is just part of the story that they need to put in order to sell it to investors and to sell it to other companies. We know that it's a known fact that many of the existing AI projects that are taking place at companies are not succeeding. So this makes the case that, it's a young technology. It doesn't have enough maturity. People are jumping into it without realizing the consequences of the failure and what might come in out of this. But this is an area that is particularly important for everyone to read and study about it, to make their own opinions and to reflect on it. This is not something that you just, I'm going to read this from this person. No, this is how it is. You need to have this kind of interaction, feedback, look at different sources in order to make up your own opinion. About 3 years ago, I was at the Web Summit in Lisbon, and there was a number of startups trying to address mental health issues with apps and AI systems. And as you know, I get curious. So let's see who is part of your team. Let's see who is in there. And the psychology element was outsourced. So in the teams, they had no one expert on the fields of mental health. This is something that they would outsource to the cheapest possible. So they might have doctors in different regions of the world working with them, trying to develop the systems, because they wouldn't get an expert doctor. They would just go on the cheapest way possible to get advisors. And they were not really concerned on the fact that not having an expert on mental health in their team, they wouldn't see that as an issue or a problem. And that's where I exactly saw the issue.
Yeah, I think that the whole question around technology ethics is more pressing than ever because of the speed of deployment and the society level impacts that it's having. It's really pressing that we do have some of these frameworks. And I think that a lot of the tech companies criticize Europe for wrapping them up in red tape. But if you look at the intent of that regulation, the regulation's there to protect human beings and well-being and the preciously delicate society that we live in. We've seen how delicate that balance is in society because it's being destabilized by algorithms in the last decade. Because whilst generative AI is the hot topic now, algorithms and AI goes much, much deeper. You know, it's the algorithms that power assistive tech. It's the algorithms that power what we see, what we consume, and they have set up this, the attention economy, right? That are driving people to be more and more polarized because that's what gets reaction. So algorithms are already there. And so even if, and I think, Antonio, you mentioned previously that lots of AI projects in companies fail. The Gen AI stuff may well sort of crash and burn a bit and we go into a dip where, the hype hasn't met the expectations and people sort of swear off it. The power of the algorithm is going to continue and the impacts are already upon us because a great example is AI powered search. The AI search summaries, Antonio, you were talking about this before about, Google serving you up geo-specific bubbles of information. But at least you got links before that you could then go and research. Now people are just getting stuff presented to them and not everybody questions it. I know you want to come back on that.
And because when you are building and you're using these systems, some of these systems, they start to know you. They start to know your political beliefs. They know your opinions, and then they will tend to narrow down that information to you based in the knowledge that they have from you. So it means that you will get less divergent knowledge on the one that you are pursuing over and over time. But also on the topic of enterprise and companies, there is this pressure just to go after AI that people might miss other things that are also relevant and other things that are important in order to do business. So everyone seems to be somehow focused so much on AI and leaving behind other areas with no sustainability and other business topics that are also relevant because everyone goes after AI.
And you know what also that is annoying me just a little bit is that they're calling everything AI. Everything's AI now. So it's like, what? No, anyway. So it's like everything is now AI. We don't talk about touch technology or digital. Everything's AI. Okay. So I'm sorry. So what we're saying is, so programmed and it's machine learning and it's not all anyway. So I think that we're just taking this term AI and we're just putting it everywhere now too, which is just also adding to the confusion. You know what? I have a lot of empathy for parents right now. And I know quite a few parents that are like, they are not introducing screens to their children. They are not going to let them do it. They're being thoughtful about it in ways that, I remember, because I'm so much older, but I remember we were told, don't take your kids and park them in front of the television set. Gosh, you don't want to do that. So now we've got screens everywhere. And so we don't even understand as humans what this is doing to our brains. And the studies we're seeing right now, it's very interesting how our brains are responding to just using AI, or something like ChatGPT gets all of the words, but Gemini, ChatGPT, any of the ones that are coming up. But it's just interesting because honestly, we do not know what is really going to happen with our brains with the AI. We've already seen some really, really scary things happen. We've seen deaths, we've seen abuse, and we just started. And so I hope, if nothing else, people are protecting themselves, their brains, and their families' brains, and their children's brains, because we don't know what they're programming in, and we know what they did before. There was a documentary called The Social Dilemma, where these programmers are saying, we had no idea. We didn't know what was going to happen. We don't let our own children use these devices until they're in high school. So I have nothing else I say to all of the human beings out there: protect yourself from this technology. We don't know what's being coded into it. I don't want to be paranoid, but I'm totally paranoid about it now. Yeah.
That's a fair point. It's not just about AI and Gen AI. It's about how we live our lives through screens right now. And I was a technology optimist for most of my life.
Me too.
Most of my adult life, because actually, growing up in the 70s, there wasn't that much like computing tech, right? But I had that road to Damascus moment, and I was like, wow, this stuff's great. I love it. And we were on a journey of progress. And it's much more recently that I've become more jaded about this. But I used to read Asimov, right? The big science fiction author, wrote iRobot, Foundation, these like massive, really well-recognized series of books. And he wrote one, I think it was called The Naked Sun, which was about extreme isolation. And there was a population of people on a planet, but they were so widely dispersed that they only communicated through holograms and holographic communication. Not now, what are we doing? We're all spending all of our time not convening in person, but talking through screens. Been really handy for us. It's empowering for people with disabilities. Remote work possibilities, fantastic. I have an international team. I couldn't coordinate with them in the same way if we didn't have these tools. But at the same time, that have grown up during the COVID period don't have the social skills. Some of the younger ones, they're years behind on their language skills. So this does have an impact on how people's brains are wired and everything else. And we don't teach children the kind of rhetorical questioning approaches and philosophical approaches that I think they're going to really need in a world of misinformation. So I think what we need to teach people is changing rapidly. And we need to have that curiosity, the reminders constantly to question, and also to step away from the screen and have some human interaction. Stop phubbing people when you're in a restaurant. I'm guilty of this, playing on my phone whilst I'm out for lunch with my wife.
Yeah. I think we're all guilty of it. But, I just think protecting ourselves as this is unfolding and protecting our brains. And also when I'm researching for my book, a new book. One thing I was seeing is also we're not able to process and think the same. People are losing the ability to pull language into their brains and use words and language because there is some real dangers to our human brains. We have to continue to remember how to spell things. I have ADHD and dyslexia. So it's like my brain does weird things to me already, but we are learning we are losing basic skills that we do need. We need languages, and it's nice that we can talk the same language and all that stuff, but we need to use our brains. For example, I'll give you an example. I am a flautist. I have played the flute since I was a very young girl. I stopped playing it for years. I picked it up again. But what I did when I was learning it was I memorized. I was in the marching band, and every week we had 3 new songs we had to memorize. I had to memorize 3 songs on my flute every single week. Not a problem. I did it. I was what I had to do. It's important to use our brains, even if AI can help us appear even smarter. We still have to use our brains, and we have to engage in ways that empower our brains. So it's some big topics. These are some big topics that we're
So
dealing with.
I have a question for you about this. Let's say that tomorrow somebody is going to invite you to speak at an event on AI. The same to you, Neil. Or somebody is going to invite you to a call about AI. So do you feel compelled to say good things about AI, or do you feel compelled to be divergent about it?
Well, I feel compelled to be honest about it. I don't know if I'm answering that question, but I am obnoxiously optimistic, as Neil has coined me. I am. But at the same time, I think being like that is just stupid now. We just can't do that, because the realities is there are human lives at stake, and we are deciding how our cultures are going to work, our societies are going to work. It's like, so no, I would be both excited. Because, Neil, you had said something about, when you were growing up as a child, you weren't being exposed to technology because we didn't have a lot of it. But even as a child, my dad worked in technology. My dad did an AT&T computer, managed it that was the size of 3 city blocks. And we would go to work with them sometimes. It just was all these metal boxes everywhere. So my dad taught me to love the bleeding edge of technology, but then I learned not to love that because that's painful. But we are really at the bleeding edge of technology right now. And I think I love AI. We can't put it back in the box. But I also know that we have got to think about what it means to be human. I mean, this ridiculousness, yes, I'm going to go, with the DEI and woke that we're seeing, say, in the United States. In the first place, I don't even know why we have to have conversations about DEI and woke when the reality is, why would you ever build or create or program any technology that doesn't work for humans in every single aspect of their life? Why would you not do that? I was a programmer. I programmed so that everybody could use my programs to the best of my ability at the time. Why would you design anything that doesn't work with humans? Why are you building AI and you're not bringing in the humans that know about it, like the mental health examples? Anyway, all right. So I'm going to be quiet now. See, going on mute right now.
I quite like you telling off the tech industry.
So what are you doing?
I think we should be building for humanity. Why are we building tech if it puts humans out of a job or puts humans at humanity and society at a disadvantage? That's short term even for the billionaires. Ultimately, the things will turn on them too, because there's nothing to support their businesses left. So, we ought to be looking holistically at this stuff. And as Antonio observed, and you rightly as well, there has been this sort of laser focus on AI is the thing. We need to, engage in the arms race for AI because we need to win this because we're going to be the dominant one in the space forever, and I can sit on my pile of cash, right? But
Thank you.
But it's having a massive impact on actually some of the things some of the other things that these companies are doing. Yes, like sustainability, but also quality. Right? I mean, I use technology daily, and the speed at which we develop technology now stops us from producing high quality products. I think that, I'm going to give Apple credit where credit's due, is that they take a lot more time. They're a lot more cautious in their approach to implementing new technologies than others. And as a result, not as much stuff breaks. I mean, stuff does break, right? There are still bugs. There's all sorts of things. What I'm seeing at the moment is there are daily changes in my working environment, and I never know what's where, what's working, and, it's unstable. Stuff just doesn't work in the same way. And, we're paying for this. We're consumers. It's not like we're paying to be someone's lab. Yeah. we are paying to be these companies' lab rats now.
Yes.
And, that was okay when it was freeware. You kind of accepted it because it's like, yes, we're the product and we're getting something for free. But when you're paying for the products and they're still cruddy, then I think that's it's a loss of focus on behalf of these large organizations.
Well, and also, Neil, don't you think I'm also tired of some of these brands? I'm not going to, but thinking that we owe them, because I know, I'm just really tired of brands thinking that we all owe them something because you bothered to make something accessible. But, the reality is you need to be making things accessible for all of your human customers. And if you aren't, we need to be talking about the ones that are. So the elitism of the corporations are getting to me. I'm tired of that. So I'm not going to be brand loyal in the same way. I'm rethinking what does it mean to me to be brand loyal. I wrote a book, on inclusion branding. It was certainly never meant for these brands to, I'll do that then I can work. No, we actually wanted to be included, and we don't want anyway. So I'm very disappointed in you corporations, but more disappointed in the AI developers. But okay. So, yeah.
Is it the developers or is it the leadership of the organizations? Because the developers are just doing what they're told to do. It's the leadership of the organization.
You're right. You're right.
And it's also
right.
It's the finance behind it, because the way that we structure finance of technology development, we go for market capture and we do this whole blitz scale to capture, and we're going for the platform economy and we must have the dominant platform. That creates a certain type of behavior. It's not the best technology that wins, it's the most well-funded.
I agree. And also I want to say that, but where we do have those of us that have programmed and developed, and what we do have is we can pick better employers. I mean, maybe you're an employer right now that's asking you to do things that is not going to be good for humanity. Please, please, please look for another job. Please be ethical. Please care about the human race, and don't work for these mad men that think that it's all about the money. It's not. It's not all about the money. So I think that each of us as human beings do need to really understand the roles that we're going to play right now. They won't forget us these times. They're not going to forget us because we're deciding where human race is going to go. And it's not looking so positive right now. Yeah, and I'm optimistic.
Oh, this is cheery, isn't it?
No, there's some really good things that's happening with it as well. It really is. It's like, I love AI. I love it. I love it. I use it constantly. I debate with it. I talk to it. I challenge it. I have fun with it. But I hate what it's done to some behavior problems I've had with my grown child, one of my grown children. So, yeah, so it's a love-hate relationship, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe this is what you were trying to get at in your question to Debra, Antonio, was there is a sort of messianic belief in parts of the industry that AI is going to solve everything and it's the answer to everything. And it becomes quasi-religious, right? So you must believe in the religion of AI, and if you don't, or you have a nuanced view on something, then actually it's surprising. People are attacking each other for their views on AI, like, the Catholics versus the Protestants. This is technology, people. It's not God.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to be alive.
It may have godlike powers, but it's
yes.
not God.
Yeah. Let's hear about the human race, though. I know they're not perfect, but my God, and the planet.
It's actually, it's very difficult to find someone that is able to pause and think about it in a kind of a more, all these debates on AI, there seems to be really, really light, No, we are talking here for half an hour, but sometimes you have this kind of debates with 10 people. Everyone comes with a very light approach. There's no really deep thinking. It's very rare to find someone doing that.
Yeah. And if you do, let me know, because I'm looking for them. But what I'm hearing right now, oh my gosh, some of these debates, 90% of jobs will be gone in 2 years. What? Come on. I'm not saying that they're not going, but yeah.
I think that the impact is going to be very sectoral as well. We've seen the impact in copywriting.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
people that in sort of creative writing jobs are impacted, you know,
Yes.
because
Marketing has been impacted.
absolutely. But what we've also seen is the quality of the content that gets produced is slop, right? Now you can use AI to create great content, but it requires some tuning and all the rest of it. But we are seeing the whole of the internet like spewed out with AI slop, and you know it all sounds the same. And what that's doing is suppressing diversity because people don't have their own voice anymore. Yeah. So I think we've reached the end of our time. We've gone on wild tangents, but it's been fun. Need to thank My Clear Text and Amazon for supporting us to stay on air and stay captured.
Yes.
So look forward to the next time we speak.
I'm hopeful.